a fever dream of hysteria, blood, and unrelenting horror. The 1981 film Possession takes the pain of divorce and mutates it into something grotesque and otherworldly. With performances that border on insanity, surreal body horror, and a narrative that spirals deeper into madness, Possession is not just about the collapse of a marriage. It is a descent into the darkest recesses of human emotion. Beneath its terrifying exterior, the film explores the themes of a mental breakdown, obsession, and faith, all in the context of a couple ending their relationship. Heavily inspired by the director's own divorce, Possession uses metaphors and symbols to externalize the pain, paranoia, and psychological unraveling that come with the collapse of a marriage. The director transforms his personal anguish into a surreal nightmare, where emotional devastation manifests as physical horror. The film's metaphors and symbols, monsters, grotesque transformations, religious imagery, and the looming Berlin Wall create a deeply unsettling exploration of love, obsession, and identity. Through these elements, Possession transcends the realm of traditional psychological drama, turning the trauma of divorce into something monstrous and all-consuming. Possession is not merely a horror film. It is a descent into the abyss of love and madness, where the boundaries between desire and destruction collapse into something nightmarish. Few films so viscerally capture the unbearable agony of separation, making Possession not just the most disturbing breakup film of all time, but one of the most harrowing explorations of human emotion ever put to screen. It is a film that does not just depict heartbreak. It writhes, bleeds, and screams it, forcing the viewer to confront the monstrous depths of love and loss. Set during the real-life fears of the Cold War, the film begins with the character Mark, returning home to West Berlin after a mysterious assignment, only to find that his wife, Anna, wants a divorce. Anna's cold detachment quickly spirals into something far more disturbing as Mark discovers she is engaged in an inexplicable affair. As he probes into her life with the help of a private investigator, he uncovers something far more horrifying than simple infidelity. Anna is involved with a mysterious, monstrous entity. The film blurs the line between psychological breakdown and supernatural horror, using surreal imagery, doppelgangers, and grotesque transformations to explore the anguish of separation and the destruction of identity. At its core, Possession is a film about the total collapse of a marriage, but it amplifies this collapse into an apocalyptic descent into madness. Possession captures the raw emotional devastation of separation, but instead of depicting it in a straightforward manner, the film externalizes inner turmoil through disturbing physical and psychological transformations. Mark and Anna's arguments are exaggerated, with violent thrashing, self-mutilation, and full-body convulsions that make their emotional suffering feel almost unbearable to watch. Possession refuses to present a neat, comprehensible portrait of marital disintegration. Instead, it plunges its characters into a surreal nightmare of agony and alienation. The fact that the movie takes place in West Berlin is no accident either. In 1981, when the movie was filmed, Berlin was still divided into East and West. This, alongside frequent footage of the Berlin Wall, is a clear analogy of the division between the couple. This setting deepens the film's themes of division, not just between East and West, but between men and women, lovers and enemies, sanity and madness. Mark's job is deliberately vague, hinting at Cold War espionage, and the constant surveillance and secrecy in the film echo the paranoia of the era. The breakdown of Mark and Anna's relationship mirrors the larger anxieties of political division. They are no longer speaking the same language, their motives are unreadable, and their emotions are volatile. The presence of the wall looms over their deteriorating marriage, reinforcing the idea that some divisions, once created, cannot be mended. Throughout Possession, religious and mythological symbolism reinforces the film's themes of suffering, sacrifice, and transformation. Anna frequently invokes religious imagery to describe her torment, and much of the film plays out like a nightmarish inversion of biblical and mythological narratives. The most infamous scene from this film is the subway miscarriage. The subway scene in Possession is one of the most harrowing moments in cinematic history, and it serves as a visceral, symbolic representation of Anna's breakdown. Anna's convulsions and blood-curdling screams in the subway evoke the image of religious martyrdom, but instead of suffering in devotion to a higher power, she is experiencing a crisis of faith, both in God and in love. When she later tells Mark that she miscarried faith in that moment, it suggests that she has completely rejected everything she once believed in, whether that be the sanctity of marriage, societal expectations, or even the concept of human connection itself. This moment is reminiscent of biblical possession stories, in which those afflicted writhe and contort as they are overtaken by dark forces. However, rather than an external demon, Anna is being consumed by something internal, her own unbearable emotions, desires, and existential terror. The violent thrashing of her body can be seen as a grotesque parody of religious ecstasy, as though she is undergoing a twisted form of divine revelation. But instead of transcendence, she births something monstrous. Her later obsession with the mysterious creature also takes on religious undertones, as she worships it, protects it, and ultimately sacrifices for it. The film suggests that love, like faith, can drive people to madness, and when that faith is lost, it results in destruction and chaos. Few films capture the raw devastation of emotional collapse like Possession. By fusing psychological horror with supernatural and political allegory, the film transforms the agony of a failed marriage into a surreal and nightmarish experience. Through its themes of emotional breakdown, Cold War paranoia, religious suffering, and the monstrous nature of love, Possession explores the terrifying consequences of human disconnection. Anna and Mark's descent into madness is not just a personal tragedy, it is an existential crisis where love, faith, and identity are torn apart and reborn into something unrecognizable. It is not just a breakup film, it is a confrontation with the abyss of human emotion. A reminder that love, when pushed to its extremes, can be as destructive as it is transcendent. Possession leaves us with a haunting question. When love unravels, do we become something unrecognizable, or were we always monstrous beneath the surface?